CEO himself, Michael McCutcheon.
So today I want to be talking about the secret to success, right? The secret sauce. I hear so many people, they're always thinking the next thing, like, the thing that's going to make them successful is another mentorship. It's another community. It's another job. It's the next sale. It's the next book, right? You hear this all the time. Like, you can hear people when they get excited about something because they think that that's going to be the thing that's going to help create success for them, right? It's like, what is that secret sauce? So I want to share with you today what I think that secret sauce is. And what I've realized is that there is no secret sauce, right? It's a willingness thing. It's a willingness to do the shit every day that you don't want to do, right? Because it's a compounding effect. There is such a value in compounding, right? We think that this hustle or there's going to be this turn the page and it's going to change everything for us, and it's really not. It's a consistency. It's a compounding effect, right? It's doing the things that you don't want to do when you don't feel like it, right? I heard that Tim Grover talks about, he says motivation. He said motivation is like the water cooler. Right, motivation is that place where everybody's hanging out, talking about the things that they're going to do, getting each other excited, getting influence, getting motivated. But motivation is bullshit, right? If you look at the most successful people in the world, they don't need to listen to an Instagram reel to get them motivated in the morning. They don't need to listen to a podcast to get them motivated in the morning, right? I think that there's value in it. I think there's value in the things that you are consuming, right? What are you taking in on a daily basis that helps to get you to where you want to be? But if you're relying on that for the motivation, you're in the wrong business, right? Motivation is just the foot in the door, right? There is depths to this game. There is levels to this game. And until you can understand that it's about consistency over and over and over again and not motivation, right? So there is no secret sauce. You already possess the secret sauce. There's nothing that you can do. There's nobody that you can connect with that's going to unlock this thing for you, right? You have to unlock it for yourself. And you can't be reliant on other people to help with that, right? Because you have to be consistent day in and day out and day in and day out. Not doing it when you feel like it, doing it because you know you have to do it. Right, because what starts to happen is the more that you are consistent, right, the more consistent that you are, the more you start to believe in yourself, right? Have you ever told yourself that you were going to do something and then you did it? How did you feel, right? Have you ever told yourself that you were going to do something and you didn't do it? How did you feel, right? Because that consistency creates belief. It creates motivation. And it creates comfortability and belief in those around you, right? I have learned that most type A driven individuals, they can thrive in chaos, right? They seek the chaos, right? And that's actually not a great thing for them either, because they start to establish these patterns that consistently create that chaos. But what I've learned is that most people don't want that. Right? The guys that create the chaos, the guys that thrive in the chaos are the ones that build the businesses, the ones that step out, the ones that do the things that people said they couldn't do. And that isn't for everybody, and that's okay, right? It's understanding what you need and what those around you need. Because when you start to be consistent, when you start to do the things in and day out, you start to create comfortability and belief, not only in you, but for those people around you. Right, if you look at a great mom or a great dad, right, they're consistent, right? You didn't have to know, hey, was mom going to be there when I got off school, or was someone going to be there to pick me up, right? No matter if they were sick, no matter if they were down, they made sure that you were taken care of. It's those small things, the things that we don't even realize, right? I look at it all the time, and I say, sometimes the people that are the most independent, successful people in my organization, sometimes I forget to even recognize them, right? Because we get so focused on the ones that are a problem, the ones that are complaining, the ones that need things, and all of our time and energy is going to these people, right? But then those ones that are independent, sometimes they get overlooked. Sometimes we don't even think about saying something to them and thanking them and being grateful for them because we know that they're going to show up and we don't have to worry about them. Right? Same thing with, like I said, a great mom or a great dad, right? Look, think about all the things that parents have done for you, Right? And maybe not every one of us has had a perfect parent and a perfect relationship and a perfect life. That's unrealistic. It doesn't happen. But whether it's a parent or an individual in your life that has showed up consistently for you, it has allowed you to step into that next level because you were comfortable, you were secure, you knew that you didn't have to worry about that, right? My business has grown the more people that I have put inside of it that are consistent and independent, right? They allow you to not have to panic, not have to be in this scarcity mindset that where's it going to go because you know that you've got a foundation. Right, and a foundation is what you build on. When I look back at, my hockey career, when I was playing hockey, my dad would pick me up at 2:00 from school every day. We would drive an hour and a half to Pittsburgh. We would, be in the car. We're talking about hockey. We're discussing it. We're discussing practice. We're talking about the things that I'm going to do today in practice. It's going to be different consistently every single day, 7 days a week. We were doing this. But what happened is that I was able to accelerate and get to a level of success inside of hockey, inside of that sport, because I knew that I had somebody there that was consistently going to show up for me, right? Consistently going to be there. I didn't have to get off school and think, how am I going to get to practice today? No, Dad was there. Dad got me there. And what happens is when you find people or you are consistent and you create that comfortability, right, in reliability, in relatability from other people because of the way that you're showing up, now all of a sudden what you do is you start to create capacity. Because the biggest capacity stealer is when you can't be focused on where you're going because you're worried about where you are. Right? That's the biggest capacity stealer because you're worrying about all these things, right? Fear, stress, the things that you can't control. Right? And so when all your time and energy becomes focused on the things that you can't control, you end up controlling nothing and you end up going nowhere. Right? If you look at the most successful people, they're moving at a high pace. They're moving quickly. They're rolling. If you spend a day with a high-level entrepreneur, right, or a high-level athlete, you're going to be worn out probably because they're moving fast, right? The decisions they're making, the decisions are quick. That pace is what starts to separate you, right? And it's not they just carelessly run. No, they have done the work. They have done these things day in and day out consistently. So now when the decision comes, they can make that decision quick, but it all starts to come together, right? It's that compounding effect. It's that compounding effect that you start to create belief. You start to create success. You start to create patterns. And now when a decision's faced with you, you can make that decision quickly. Right, so this idea of your consistency starts to create pace not only for yourself but for everybody around you. Right, the average person's slow. The average person is slow. They don't. There's not a lot of urgency. They don't feel like they got to get there real fast. It's kind of hey, I'll get there when I get there. But what I've started to realize is that they're slow because they second guess themselves. Right, they're slow because they haven't done the work. If you think about in sports, right, if you're a basketball player, right, and you practice your corner 3-point shot, and you practice it, and every day they talk about Kobe, the amount of work that Kobe Bryant was putting in, the shots that he was taking day in and day out. They said he would be there before practice, he would be there during practice, he would be there after practice, and then he'd be back in the gym the next day, first person in, last person out. Right? He's doing that because those reps create confidence. Right? That consistency creates confidence. That consistency creates comfortability and belief from those around you. So now when you're in the game and that ball comes to you in the corner, it's a quick shot. You don't even think about it. You respond and you react because you have done the work consistently to create those defaults, to create those things that's going to make you successful. Right? You have to be focused on the things that it's not sexy. Consistency isn't sexy. Right? Entrepreneurship nowadays is so everybody wants to look cool and they want to have the cars and they want to have the money and it's all this stuff. But guess what? It's not real. It's not real without work. It's not real without a team. It's not real without consistently doing the small shit every single day. Most people aren't willing to do those small things because they want to have an immediate ROI. right? It's like they believe that, hey, I'm entitled that if I work hard today, I should get a result. They don't realize that it's not an instant thing. You can't, you see somebody that wants to start working out, right? And they say that, they want to get in shape. And they've never really worked out before. Maybe they've done it once or twice. They've got into it, they've fallen off. They got into it, they've fallen off. And so what happens is that they, in this moment, they get motivated, right? They're ready to take on new levels. So now they're going to make this game plan. I'm going to go from never working out to working out 7 days a week because I'm motivated. I'm inspired now. I had a conversation with somebody that was in shape, and I saw what they were doing. I saw the life that they created, and I said, I want that life. But guess what? You needed to be motivated to get it. And so you told yourself, I got the next 7 days, I'm going to the gym every day. Right? And then you set yourself up for failure because you're looking at the end result. You're looking at this unrealistic thing that's never going to happen. Because you can't get there overnight. That person, that entrepreneur, that person that you see right now, that they say that overnight success takes 10 years. It takes 10 years to have an overnight success. Right? Everybody sees it pop up and go, but what's the things that you were doing for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 years sometimes before you ever became successful? See, that's the problem. I don't think that it's a vision thing for most people. Right? I think that vision is one of the most powerful things that we can have because in order to get somewhere, we have to know where we're going. And so you have to have this vision. But I think that every single one of us has a vision, right? If I told you and said, what kind of life do you want? You said, I want a better life. Okay, what's that life look like? Oh, this life looks like this, and it's cars, and it's money, and it's opportunities. That's awesome. You got a vision. Sweet. What do you do with that vision? Right? If I said, would you rather be able to travel and build relationships, or would you rather go to work every single day and do something that you're miserable doing? What would you say? You'd rather do the thing that you love. You'd rather have the vision. So it's not a vision problem that you have, right? It's a belief problem that you have. It's a depth perception problem that you have because the reason that you're not going and chasing these things and consistently following up with these things because you think it's going to take a long time. Right? You think that, if I do this today, I don't know if I can get there. Right? I don't know if I can get there fast enough. And so you give up. Right? You give up on these dreams because you think these dreams are so far away. Right? You see what someone's doing and you step into that and you try to do it for a couple days and wears you out and you quit. Because it's going to take a long time, man. I don't know if I have that commitment. One of the greatest things that had happened to me is that after I played hockey, I've been able to commit to things my entire life, right? When I wanted to be a great athlete, I committed everything I had towards it, right? When I actually got into the coal mines or got into the gas plants, right? I didn't have this idea of an entrepreneurship, right? For me in that moment, I had nowhere to go. There was no vision. Right, I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like, but it was, in my belief, I was like, there's no resources for me to get there. So guess what? I committed to working at a gas plant for 40 years. I told myself, I'm going to be here till I'm 65. And I committed to that. And so every day I just showed up, didn't bitch, didn't complain, and I stuck to my commitment. Now, I wasn't happy. I didn't want that. But I learned how to commit to things. I learned that, hey, man, you have to stick to it. You got to do the things day in and day out. And guess what? If I'm 65 by the time I get to enjoy my life, I guess that's what it is. Now, I wasn't happy with that. I wasn't settling for that. I wasn't content with that. But being able to commit to becoming a great athlete, being able to commit to becoming a great bodybuilder, being able to commit to a 40-year vision of a dream that I didn't even want, I was willing to do it. So when I transitioned into an entrepreneurship, that was easy. That was easy because I knew that I was already willing to do something I hated for 40 years. So all I had to do was find something I enjoyed, find something that was going to, fulfill me a little bit. And that was an easy commitment, right? Because no matter what, where I was at, even in my worst days, it was better than there. Right? There was a time in my life I was building steel sets in a coal mine, hundreds of feet underground, for $12 an hour, working 16 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Miserable. Hated it. Hated my life. Hated everything that. But guess what? I showed up. I was at work every day because I made a commitment. See, most of you aren't willing to make a commitment. You're not willing to commit to something because is it going to take too long? What's it going to require of you? Who do you have to become along the way? Right? And it's all of these things. We're so worried about the how we're going to do it versus just saying, I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to do everything that I can until I get there. And I'm not going to let the people around me, I'm not going to let my parents or my friends or family or whoever it is, I'm not going to let them remove my commitment. I'm not going to let them shake me. I'm not going to let them change. I'm not going to let them change my direction or control my direction because that's up to me. They don't understand it. You have to pay attention to who you're taking knowledge from. Pay attention who you're taking advice from. I see a lot of people out there that give a lot of advice on things that they've never done before. Right? They're going to tell you, hey, make sure your bills are paid because this is going to happen to this, and you can't go doing these things. You're not good enough to do that thing. You don't have the ability to do that thing. You're not capable of that thing. And then I see people quit because of somebody that they love tells them that they can't do something. And I believe that it's not ever really about that person telling you that you can't do something because they don't believe that you can do it. They don't believe that they can do it. So their filter, their love for you, the lens that they're looking through is their own lens. It's their own experiences. They tell you can't do something because they know that they couldn't do it and they had no clue how that you could ever do it. You weren't as good as them. You were under them. You weren't as athletic as them. They didn't make it, so how can you? Most people talk down on your dreams because they've given up on theirs. Which brings me to my last point today. Your belief system. Right? The belief system is a funny thing. I've actually had conversations around this, and I said, I think it's more of a taught system. Because most of us don't actually think for ourselves. Most of us our belief system is really the playbook or the handbook that we were given from those around us, from our family members, from friends. Right? Your belief system is this thing that's been created over centuries of traumas. From your ancestors that came here to then this person and this. And so over time, this belief system just gets developed from all these things and experiences that everybody else has experienced, not what we have experienced. I like to call it a taught system. That's what I think it is. They should call it a taught system because that's all it is. It's just where our belief system becomes the collective of all the things that everybody before us has experienced. That's not a belief system. That's your taught system. That's something that you've just been ingrained to believe. A belief system is what you believe. But you have to take the time. You've got to reflect. You've got to have a vision. You got to have a commitment. It's the things that you believe in, not anybody else. Right? Do you believe that you have the ability to be successful? Do you believe that you have the ability to do the same thing day in and day out and be consistent? Do you believe that those small daily habits will compound over time and separate you by 15, 20%, 30%? Next thing you know, you're 50% ahead of all these people around you. Do you believe that you can do that? Do you believe that your consistency will empower those around you? That's your belief system. Right? If your belief system is, it's not for me, it's hard, it's going to take too long, then be honest with yourself. Is that what you believe, or is that what the people around you believe, or those that have taught you to believe that? So lock in on your belief system and understand that there ain't no secret sauce to this game. It's very simple. Do the shit that others won't do consistently, day in and day out, and believe that you are capable you can become the thing that you want. Even when nobody sees it, you have to believe it. Reckless CEO,